Hey everybody, Claudia from the Garden Homestead here. I am working on a new quilt. I started it earlier in the week, and this one is going to be a a work in progress for quite a while. So I'm always looking for something scrappy that I can do just a little bit at a time when I just have a few minutes to sit down and sew. Nothing big. I don't want to be, if I've only got 20 minutes or 30 minutes, or I don't want to be in the middle of a big project and have to stop partway through. So I'm always looking for something small and scrappy and a way to use up my scraps. And I had a whole bunch of strips, strings, whatever. The narrow ones, less than 2.5 inches. I have a ton of those. And then I have a bunch of smaller ones of those. So what I decided to do was I've sorted them out. So I've got a bag that has all of the longer pieces, and then a bag that has the short pieces or the little scraps. I did sort out anything that was 2.5 inches and put them in another bag, and then the 2.5 inch squares I put in another bag too. So I'll save those for 2.5s. But I came across, I think it's Terry Rowland, and her Colorwash quilt. And I thought that was such a great idea for using the smaller scraps. She puts them together into 3.5 inch squares, tiny ones. And I've got a bunch of them cut already, cut and sewn. I wanted to get some done before I started this video. So these are 3.5 inches. And then she puts them all together like by colors. And I'll put a link to her page because she has several videos and a bunch of shorts about this. And there are other people on YouTube that actually do them and have referred back to her too. I'm expecting that this will probably take me through probably close to a year to get enough. I need I need at least around 350 for a small throw quilt, 350 of these. And I'm just working with scraps. It takes me a little while to sort through the scraps. And so I did a couple the first day. And then I think it was 10 the second day. And then I kind of got hooked on it. And if you guys know me, once I start even a scrap project, I like to stick with it. I get obsessed. I am trying not to be obsessed with this. I'm trying to keep it as a scrap project that I will do just in my short times. I mean, how cute is that? I don't even know where that fabric came from. All I had was a strip, not even a 2.5 inch strip, just a strip. So anyway, I think I have 24 here that are already done, and I've got a bunch more that I'm going to be working on. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it. Terry has shown how to do it, and I am doing it the way she did it. I think anyway, to my remembering, my recollection. So I'm going to turn you around, and I'm going to show you how I'm doing this, and then probably the updates on this might be more like in shorts because it's going to be so many updates. Like I'm hoping I can get 10 or 15 a week done in just my little off times. Some weeks I don't have those off times. Some weeks I have all day I can sew. But like this week I had 2 days where we were in Sarasota and I just didn't have the time to sit down and sew a lot. So let me get you turned around and I'll show you what's going on. Okay, so since I'm working with small scraps today, I am working on the ironing board. It's a little higher than the table I have for cutting right now. So what I'm doing is I've sorted these by color, and these are just the narrow strips on this one. I've got some already cut, and then this is actually not even strips. It's just scraps, but I'm going to figure out a way to make this work. So what I've been doing is taking the strips. Let me see if I have a good one. Okay, we'll go with that one and then maybe a little narrower one. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting them because I'm going to trim them down. That's a selvage. Oh, there's two here. So, and I don't care that if they're not straight, if they're angled, whatever, because they're going to get trimmed down anyway. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting 2 of them at 4 inches. And doesn't have to be perfect because we're not piecing perfect. And then I need two, let me pull one of these out. So the 4-inch ones are going to be, hold that one. The 4-inch ones are going to be these sides, and then I need two to go in the middle. If I'm using really narrow strips, like some of them are an inch and a quarter, then I'm using longer strips for here and I'm putting them in sideways. If I have wider strips, like this one is wide, and I mean these two with a seam allowance is 1, 2, 3. That's a little over 3 inches right there. So I can use just two smaller ones in the middle there. Going to lose seam allowance here, and then my little center piece will be smaller, maybe more like that one. So, although that one went sideways, but you get what I'm saying. So then I need two small pieces. I'm just going to cut this in half ish. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. And that's going to go, I have a pile up here that I've got ready to sew. So I'm going to do one more, and I've been doing them by colors. Like the first couple, they were all mixed up, but then I did blue, and then I did green, and now I'm working on pink. So let's see what I can get out of this. I need two of them to be at least 4 inches. So that one will be 4 inches. And then this one can be 4 inches. I'm going to layer them up like that. Okay. And then I'm going to trim that off. And I am using a ruler this time, but I mean, you don't have to. Trim this off. This will go back in here. Actually, this one, I'm going to square this one up a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to put that in a separate pile. That one I can use as a center. These are too small. This is too small. So now I have these two, 1, 2, 3, 4 that I can trim off there. A little over 4 inches. That one can be one of the ends. I think that's too small, but I might be able to use it as a center. Maybe. I'll put it in the pile. I mean, I can always toss it later. And then I need another one about this size. So let's see what I got here. That'll work. There we go. So now I'm going to go to the sewing machine and show you how I put these together. I do have a pile of pieces over there, and these are just little scraps. Some of them are bigger than others. Some of them are some of them were 2.5, but then they weren't 2.5 the other way, so they went in here. And then I can just add those. I won't use these with the pink. I want contrasting colors, so I might use that. That one's pretty big. I might cut it in half. Contrasting to pink. So I might use the blue. I might use that brown. I might use that sunflower. You get the idea. Oh, maybe that blue. I'm going to put those on top because those are the first ones I'm probably going to use. Let's go to the sewing machine. Okay, so I have off-white thread in here. I'm just using whatever's in here. It really doesn't matter much to me. I'll put those two down. Oh, what did I do with... Oh, there we go. I've got my centers here. So basically, the way Terry was doing it was she took a center and she took one of these. And I'm going to do, and then I set the rest aside. So let's do this one next. I'm going to try to keep that horse centered. I mean, you could really fussy cut these centers if you wanted to. I think that'd be really cute. I had one that I fussy cut the best I could from strips. The one of these butterflies. I did not press these. I just not worried about it. Okay, this one I'm going to use. Do I want these to match up when I put them back together, or do I care if they go the other way? I don't think it matters. I'm going to do these this way. Flip that back over. We'll grab these two. Now, when I was doing these earlier, I was doing sets of 10 or like 15. I was doing a bunch of them at once so that I didn't have to change it up as often. Then this one's going to go here. Square it up there a little bit. I'm not worried about that selvage. It's going to get cut off later anyway. This I'll trim off later. And this one. You ever watch a YouTube video and then have a song stuck in your head? That's my problem right now. Right. Now I was pressing these centers to the middle. Just thought that was easier. I don't know if it really matters. This one, straighten that out. These were not perfectly straight, but I'll keep them kind of straight. And I'm sure you can see where I'm going here. This one's next. Sure that stays flat since I'm just finger pressing. And I'm one of these people that I like to press a lot. For me to not do any finger pressing is a difficult task. Let's see where we're at. It does go much quicker without stopping to press every time, between every step, though. See, and then this is the last piece on this one. And the last piece on this one, and on this on the last seam here, I'm pressing out. It's that one got pressed open. That's fine. It's easier to press them out than to try and make the seam crease. So, and on this one, I don't know if you noticed, but I had a narrow piece here, so I picked a wider piece on the other side. I'm going to come back and sew the rest of these in a little bit. I'm going to show you what comes next, because I have a whole stack of them already sewn that just need to be trimmed. So let's turn around and go back to the ironing board. Okay, so we're back at the ironing board, and the next step is to press these. So I am going to set this seam, and this one, my iron is not quite hot yet, but it'll be hot by the time I'm going. And then I'm going to go with this open and this one open. Just like that. Forever young. Watched a video and now the song's stuck in my head. And now I got to watch, what was that movie? Napoleon Dynamite. That wasn't the video I was watching, but they used that song in it, and that Napoleon Dynamite plays that at the end. So I have a big stack of purples here that I worked on earlier. And some of these I think I can trim them where I put my scissors. I can trim those off to remove some of the bulk. But I'm not terribly concerned about it if it's just a little bit. This one's going to have a lot trimmed off of it. See, there's that ladybug that I tried to center. So I've got a whole stack of purples here. We're going to move on though, so you can see what's next. Let me get the iron out of the way. So I am using my 6.5 inch square because that's the smallest one I have at the moment. I might have a smaller one somewhere, but I couldn't find it. So I'm going from here, and these need to be trimmed to 3.5 inches. So basically, I'm just making sure, and I'm trying to keep close to an inch on each side from the center seam, from those seams, because it's easier for me to make the next seam if there's a little bit of space to work with. So here's 3.5, here's 3.5. That should be good. The whole thing is in there. And we're gonna working around the camera again. So sorry if I bump it. That's coming off. That's too small to save. That's coming off. That's too small to save. Those are garbage scraps. Turn that. And then this line and this line are going to go on the 3.5, or that edge, and you know what I mean. That's too small to save. Well, I might check that one. I don't want to use them for centers if they're less than an inch. That's real close. Yeah, I'm not saving that. Okay, so there's one. This one has a bigger center. I might not get an inch around on all of it. I won't, but that's okay. Turn that around. 3.5 and 3.5. Oh, I trimmed that one a little too small. I got two little spots here that didn't make it. I don't think it's going to matter when I put them together. I think it'll be okay. Oh, that's not right. What did I do? Oh, I turned it. I turned my thing. I do have a 3.5 inch. This isn't the first time I've done that. I do have a 3.5 inch. Yeah, there's only a 1/2 inch there, but that'll be okay. I do have a 3.5 inch square coming from Amazon, so I'll show you that when it gets here, and I'll put a link in. But that's how that goes. And then when you put them together, okay, so we'll call that one yellow. Call that one yellow. This one's really pretty, but I think it's more of a transitional piece. Call that one yellow. This is kind of a yellow green. You know what? Let's switch these around a little bit. It's kind of a yellow and green, so that might be a transition piece going into green. And if I had a whole bunch of them, you could see this even better. more green, green, and then maybe that green. And then this, I can't decide if it's green or blue, so we'll go that one next. And then this has blue and green, so maybe that one will go up here. And maybe this blue and green one will go down here. And then blue. So you see how that color wash, see how that color wash effect goes. You go by what's on the outside, then another blue, if you can see that. Not really. But that's how the color wash goes. You just go from, clump them all one color together and then kind of gradient into another color and then gradient into another color. So I'm hoping once I get this all done, I can have pink and purple across the middle and then go pink, orange, yellow, and then go purple, blue, green, and have the whole rainbow, but not in the rainbow order, because I do like the pink. I do like pink and purple the best, so I want those to go through the middle. But now you know what I'm doing with my color wash quilt. And see, this one's got a teeny tiny center. And I don't know. You ever do anything like this? Maybe you want to try. And should we? I don't know. I think Terry might have done it as a challenge. I'm not going to do a challenge because I don't know how much I'll work on it or how often, or I don't know how it's going to pan out. I know I'm going to work on it in between other projects here and there. And let me know what you think. Do you want to try this too? And what scraps are too small? I try to keep them if they're over an inch. This is my I got to use some time up. It's my no-brainer, no thinking, no stressing sewing for my hectic days. Thanks so much for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave me a comment. All those goodies really helps me out with the algorithm, helps me get seen. And thanks again.